Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Empowering Voices. Today we have a special guest. She's Sarah. Sarah has something amazing for 2021 because she has a physical shop. I couldn't believe it. I finally could interview someone who doesn't work only in the virtual world. But I don't want to tell you too much. We want Sarah to tell us. Today we start with my t-shirt that says resilience. For those of you who are just listening on the podcast, it's a t-shirt with the green word of resilience. It has been a very important companion for me, this word, and I'm sure for many of us, especially in the last year and a half. Hello, Sarah, welcome, and please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hello, everybody. Hi, nice to speak to you today. I've not done this kind of thing before, so I'm quite excited about it.
We are excited to have you. So
thank you. So I own I own two stationery shops. I used to be a nurse many years ago in a former life. And I left nursing when I was 35 to have my own business. I had a complete change. I didn't know what I was doing. I left nursing on the Friday and walked into my shop on the Monday. And,
oh, wow.
and went for it. I didn't know how to sell or market or do accounts or anything. I just wanted to be a shopkeeper and always had wanted to be one. And I love stationery. I've always loved stationery from being a child. I love the feel of it, the smell of it. I love using it. I love a new notebook.
Tell me, I'm obsessed. I'm really obsessed. I mean, I have cupboards full of stationery, never used because, and you can understand me.
Oh, yes.
The thing of the new thing and the smell, as you were saying,
yeah.
that you don't want to touch it. I mean, you want to use it, but it's too precious to touch it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So nearly 16 years now, I've had my first shop, which is in Marple in Cheshire. And we sell all kinds of stationery. We sell office stationery, school stationery, home stationery, social stationery, anything that you can imagine, from a pen to a paperclip, notebooks, everything. We've got the lot. And then last year, mid-pandemic, we had the opportunity to take on a second stationery shop, which was wow. The guy was retiring. He'd had the shop for 10 years. It was quite tired, aging shop, needed a little bit of Sarah Sparkle, as one of my friends called it. So we took that over last October.
Wow, so that was very brave.
Very, or slightly crazy, I'm not sure. So the shop's been open less time than it's been closed, because it was closed for all the lockdowns, which gave us time to change it and to clean it and to paint it and to put some new products in. And now both shops are fully open, and it's lovely to be back open again and seeing the public and seeing all our customers.
Yes, of course. To talk to people doesn't have a price, right? I mean, of course, we are very lucky. We have other ways, like us today. I mean, we have Zoom. Yeah. And we met virtually, but of course the customer working in your shop is quite emotional. When I was very young during university, I was a shop assistant, and of course in a stationery shop, and all my wage went back, right? I mean, I spent everything in there, but it was very, very funny and interesting.
Yeah.
So I suppose your customers are any age, basically. Yes. And do you feel that people like actually walking in a shop? Because nowadays we can buy everything online, right? And actually we can buy online from you, but you have also the physical space.
Yes.
What do you think? People are more interested to walk in or to buy online?
I think with stationery, it's a very sensual experience, and people like to come in and have a good browse. They like to feel a notebook. They like to try a pen, and you can't do that when you buy online. You can see a nice image of a pen or a nice image of a notebook, but you don't actually get a feel for it. So we get a lot of people who like to just come and browse, and so many people during lockdown were just waiting for us to reopen again so they could come and stock up. And I think there's definitely a place for a stationery shop in the online world, because I think people like that experience, and it's more of a destination shop. People come for a browse and a mooch, and to see what we've got. So it definitely is a place for us on our high streets, I think. And it's a shame there's not more stationery shops. We're quite rare.
Yeah, you're right. But do people come to tell their story? I mean, to chat with you? You have returning customers for sure.
Yes, we do. So, yes.
Over time, when you start knowing each other, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit that I missed most during lockdown. During lockdown, I did online, I did deliveries, I did click and collect. And the bit I missed most was the customer contact, because for me, my shop is a community, and I've got a lot of regular customers. We support the community supports stuff. It's like a circle. It's a two-way thing, that they need us and we need them. So we do a lot of community activities as well as just being a shop. I've got a customer who's at university, who started shopping with me, for example, as a child, went through primary school, senior school, now at university, and they've shopped with me for the full time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I've been there for so long now, for nearly 16 years, I've seen, a lot of people come through the shop. So my customers range from, I think we sell crayons for 18 months old right through to a card for 100-year-olds. So we fit the full sort of remit. So it's lovely, and I love that side of it. I've made some great friends through the business.
That's amazing. And it's when you have that sort of community, it becomes much more, right? Than just a shop, because as we said, you can shop everywhere, but that emotional feeling, you don't find it online. There's nothing to do.
No.
And you said you were a nurse, right?
Yes.
So you had to study to be a nurse. And so this love for having a shop, was it before you started your studies for being a nurse, or just along the way? When did it happen?
I think from being a teenager, really. I did used to play shops like most children do when they're little. I remember I used to play at my grandma's. I used to get all the food out the cupboard and pretend to have a food shop. But when I was a teenager, I worked on a market stall in the holidays and before and after school. And I loved it. I really loved it. I loved the selling of people and just that whole interaction. But my parents encouraged me to be a nurse. They thought that was a good career to do. So I did it and I loved it. But again, it was the people side of it that I enjoyed. I loved being with the people, the contact. I didn't like the paperwork or all the other stuff, all the stuff.
Of course, that you have to do anyway, but it's the behind the scenes.
I love the people side of it, but I just needed that change. I think I loved it, but I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. It wasn't
your call, but I think, although I think when we are very young, we have very clear ideas of what we want to do. And then for one reason or the other, we take a different path, but it will come back. Most of the women I talk to have this experience. There are very few who went on with the same dream and didn't have a deviation, let's say. That doesn't mean that we didn't have the alternative, but as you said, it wasn't the job. That's great. And I'm always very curious about shops, real shops, how they changed with the pandemic. I know that we are quite used to the online world, but it's been a shock, I suppose. And you were selling online before that.
I was, but I didn't do a lot online. I just had a small website with a few products on that was kind of like a sideline because I didn't really have a lot of time for it. And it wasn't my love really, because I don't, selling online, it doesn't do it for me really, because I've not got that people contact. But so during the first lockdown, I kind of, we closed the shop as we were told to close it. And I spent about a week not really knowing what what I was going to do or how I felt. And then I thought, well, I'm going to have to, you know, sort this online out. So I spent, you know, I ramped it up and got about 1,000 products on there between, you know, in a couple of weeks, and then just started doing deliveries, which is quite hard work.
You had to create a website basically, because it was just with a few products, because of course I was having a browse on your website. I mean, and there are hundreds and hundreds of products.
There are now.
So it's a lot of work anyway, either if you had to take pictures or to look for pictures, to upload, write all the description. I mean, it's something, of course, I have to do as well, and that I find super boring, but you need to, right? People have to have the most of all the tactile experience through words, basically.
It took hours and hours to do it, but it was worth it. And then sort of then we could reopen again after the first lockdown, which was fantastic. And so the other thing that I implemented once I reopened was the fact that people could order online but collect from the shop, because a lot of people were nervous about coming out and didn't want to spend long in the shop and browse. And we also started private appointments. So for those that were really nervous, they could make an appointment before the shop was open or after the shop closed, and they can have 15 minutes where the door was locked, nobody else could come in. I sat behind the counter out of the way, and they had the shop to themselves, and that worked really, really well. And we also did that for back to school, so families could come together and have 15 minutes to buy their back to school and then go again, which worked really well. So we've kept that up continually. I mean, even now, if somebody rang me and said, you know, I'm too nervous to come in the shop, can I have 15 minutes?
Find a way.
Yeah, we'll do that for them. And we also kept up deliveries to people who were shielding all the way through. In fact, we've only just stopped doing that, even though I would if somebody asked me, but only because people aren't asking for it now. But we had regular customers who were shielding for one reason and another, who I would just, you know, drop the stationery to on the way home. So we did a lot with people working from home and children.
Yeah, because I think you were one of the necessary shops, so you never closed completely.
We did close, yeah, we weren't allowed to stay open.
Okay, so probably depends on the areas. Here in London, I don't know, chains like Raymond's, they stayed open, because working from home, we needed paper, for example, or cartridges. And of course, again, you can order online, but not everyone is used to it. Not everyone knows how to use it, for example. So, but of course, all the adaptation that you had, you could have it because there was a real person behind, right? You and your team or whoever works with you. You couldn't have done it in any other way otherwise. People asking to be, I need my 15 minutes in your shop. But for me, it would be a bit like, oh, please, I'm like in an addiction mode. I need to touch the stationery. I don't know, for the pens, for example, I love to try the pens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, of course. That's great. I'm very happy that went well. Fortunately, some of the shops thrived. But as I said at the beginning, you needed a lot of resilience. The shock at the beginning, and then the way to how we do it. A lot of work to do it, but fortunately, the outcome was positive.
Yeah, I mean, I think resilience is definitely the word to describe the last year. It has been hard work, and it has been a lot of adapting, a lot of changing, a lot of rethinking how I've always done things, because the rule book of shopkeeping went out the window completely. We had to, even social media had to be done differently to how we did it. Social media became our shop window. So when we weren't able to open, we had to use it to showcase what we had. I had to start doing videos and talking. I'd never done that before. I'd always stayed away from doing sort of lives and things like that. I never liked doing it, but I had to start it to show people what I was selling. So yeah, it's been a really tough year, but we've done it. We've changed, we've been flexible, we've, you know, looked at our approach and listened to our customers. And I think that's the strength of independent shops, is that you can do that. You can absolutely adapt to what's happening in the world
very quickly. if you
very,
think.
very quickly, overnight, if you need to, which
Yeah.
we did when we went into the first lockdown, you know. And I think resilience is a great word. I'm glad that that's your word of the day, because it really resonates with me.
That's, yeah, I thought so, because definitely you had to guide the customers through another door that
Yes.
they didn't even know that you had.
Yes.
Actually, you didn't have it. You had to open it.
We had to make that door.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to ask you if you, apart from resilience for sure, if you have another word or a quote that you think it could be a bit the support of this moment in your life, in your business.
I think for me, probably the last 6 months since I had my new, well, probably a little bit longer than that, when I was planning my new shop, one of my friends said to me, when I was a bit, you know, this is a massive thing. We're in the middle of a pandemic and it's just enormous and I can't get my head around it. And, you know, there was so much planning and thinking to do. And my friend said to me, fortune favours the brave. And all the way through, whenever I had a little wobble, I would go back to that quote and think, yes, be strong, be brave. We can do this, and it will work. And it's always been there in the back of my mind.
Another, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's helped me get through thinking, yeah, I need to be brave about this. It's a big girl step, this.
yeah, definitely. Eventually, I mean, you manifested your desire to have another shop. It wasn't exactly the timing you were expecting, but probably if you think it was the right moment in a way, because with the first shop, you already had the shock. This one was less, yes. Because you knew that you could start online, basically, while in a different circumstance, probably you had to face different anxiety about, or keeping it closed while you worked inside with the painting and stuff, while now it was closed.
Yeah.
Right? So physically.
My daughter said to me, when I was having it, talking it through, and she said, Mum, what you've forgotten is that you've done this once before, and now you know what you're doing, and you didn't then. And I thought that's wise words for my 20-something-year-old daughter. And I said, yeah, you're right there. You think about it like that. So, and that helped me really. It encouraged me to go on. And my daughter, our eldest daughter, is working for me in my new shop.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, it's great. It's a proper family business now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So congratulations, definitely. And I just want to remind everyone that all the details of Sarah and her shop will be in the post, in my bio, everywhere where this video or podcast will be published. So of course, if you are in the area, go and say hello and introduce yourself as a new customer. And if you are not there, of course, the online now is full of amazing stuff. Actually, I was browsing to, I already had a little basket considered on the site. So thank you very much, Sarah. It was such a pleasure to have you. And I'm sure my audience really appreciate what you told us and all the behind the scenes, actually, of a real shop.
Thank you.
Thanks again for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's been great. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.